Hi all, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at the dating advice subreddit, and I'm going to be giving my whatever opinion, amateur opinion on some of these big questions that are being asked. I don't know why I'm doing this. I thought it would be funny, I thought we could have a laugh, and I thought maybe it would be a little bit helpful as well. I'm trying to stick to simple videos at the minute because I'm trying to schedule a bunch of content in advance so I can take my birthday week off because I have big things happening at the minute. I got some friends visiting that I'm very excited about, and also I have my driving test coming up, which I'm very nervous about. So there's a lot going on at the minute, and I'm trying to just get some content out and scheduled in advance so I can actually take some time off and enjoy myself, because I don't know the last time I took a holiday from making content. So today we are going to be looking at some questions asked by Redditors seeking dating advice. Now, am I a dating expert? No. However, I am a person who has stumbled through the world of dating for a little while now, and I have a fair idea of what not to do, and I thought it would be entertaining and maybe helpful to share some of my own answers to these questions, and then get you guys to share your experiences and answers too. Because, as always, this isn't just me talking at you. I want it to be a conversation. I want you to be a part of this. I want you to leave comments and let me know what you think, how you'd answer these questions, how do you give these people advice, and just what are your own thoughts on stuff. Sound good? Let's do it. Okay, first question is one that hits a little bit too close to home for me because, as I say, I am turning 29 next week. And for the last however many years that I've been on YouTube, I have had men, mostly men part of the incel and MGTOW communities, warning me that no one will want me after I turn 30, blah blah blah, the wall is coming, you're gonna be a crazy cat lady. And I'm like, please, mate, dogs. Anyway, had I let that stuff get to me, and had I wanted slightly different things out of my life, this could very easily have been me asking this question. So I relate to it, I understand it. Yeah, let's give it a read. This person asks, how do I stop worrying about my age as a single woman? I'm a 29-and-a-half-year-old single woman who wants kids. I can't stop freaking out about my age. Even if I met someone today, it will take a minimum of 2 years to get engaged, at least another year before the wedding, and probably a year after marriage to start trying for kids. And then another 9 months. So even if I meet someone now, I'll be 34 before my first kid. And this is the most optimistic scenario. I know 29 shouldn't feel old, but it feels ancient when you're a single woman who wants kids. I've been online dating for about 1.5 years, but I haven't found the right person in that time. So for me personally, even though I don't want kids and I don't have to worry about things like getting pregnant in a timely manner, I completely understand the feeling of placing strict time schedules on ourselves and feeling like failures when we don't stick to them, when we don't reach them, when things change. I look at what my brother and sister were doing back when they were my age, and Warren was getting married, and I think his wife was pregnant at this age, or maybe she'd had a kid already. Sarah Jane, my sister, was in a long-term stable relationship, and she'd bought a house with them, and in comparison, I have a dog, and I'm about to take a driving test. I do feel that if I was judging my life by everyone else's standards and by society's standards in general, I would be an absolute failure. And I think that gets amplified even more for women who want kids, and I mean just generally people who want kids as well, especially people who want biological kids. So I imagine some trans men go through the same feelings where you feel like you have a biological clock and there's all these things to think about. But what I have to say is that there isn't actually as much of a rush as you think there is. When it comes to things like fertility in people with uteruses and ovaries, it isn't this crazy thing that just suddenly disappears after you hit 30, no matter what a lot of the media and what a lot of men want you to believe. While there is a decrease in fertility after the age of 30, after the age of 35 and so on, it's not half as drastic as people think, and generally it won't be that much of an issue for you until you're maybe in your 40s. But let's be honest as well, adoption is an absolutely incredible option which should not be overlooked or undervalued. There are so many kids out there that need a good home, and there's a lot more to being a parent than just popping a baby out of your vagina, you know? So what I'm trying to say is the clock is not ticking as fast as you think it is, I promise. So my advice in this case, and I know it's a lot easier said than done, but seriously, take that time pressure off yourself and concentrate on figuring out what is right for you and who is right for you. Because the only thing worse than not having kids when you want them is having children with the wrong person. you don't want to rush things and get stuck with someone who is abusive or who isn't a good father. Everything will be a lot easier if you wait for the right person. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to this. There are plenty of people who had kids with the wrong person and are still excellent parents and so on. But just as a general rule, I'm saying it's better not to rush it. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of the people who sit around, especially online, telling you, oh, we better hurry up and find someone, time's running out, they're mostly men who have nothing to offer women themselves, and they're just trying to scare you into settling for someone like them who isn't actually good enough for you. Do not fall for it. If a man has to scare you into being with him by being like, oh, if you don't sleep with me, you'll never have kids, they're not good enough for you. Kids aside though, there's just absolutely no point in forcing any relationship, and there's no point settling for the wrong person just because you're worried you're short on time. In reality, you're not, and you can meet someone amazing, and you can fall in love at any age, and when it's the right person, it's going to be amazing no matter how old you are. I do want to talk about this a little bit more in depth, but I think it ties in nicely to another question I saw, so I'm going to throw this in here and kind of talk about them both at the same time. So this question is from a guy who says, am I, male 23, too picky? I don't know where to start talking about this. I think I have a good personality, 6 out of 10 looks. My life is only 5% about social media. What I'm going to say next doesn't come from a place of arrogance. I signed up on Bumble yesterday and I haven't looked for dates before, and I thought that it's a good time to start. So I started on the app. It's been 24 hours and I've left swiped 8 out of 10 profiles I saw. I think that's the no swipe, because they were either walking Instagram accounts, were self-deprecating, or were looking for tall guys. I've gone through thousands of profiles, seriously. Bumble often said there's no more profiles to show, and no one right swiped me, nothing showed up. I used decent photos, wrote an honest, complete bio. Am I doing something wrong? Am I too picky? All I want is a person who's more than just pictures, dresses, and overrated repetitive TV shows. So, I get this completely. Confession time. I've used Hinge myself, and I've been on a few dates through it. I've met some people, but especially since I've been in Leeds, I do find it really difficult, and I do worry that I'm being too picky sometimes, because I can honestly swipe through like 200 guys before I swipe yes to one of them. And even then, sometimes I'm like, well, did I swipe yes because they're the best of a bad bunch, or because I actually like the sound of them? And it's hard, and I find I have to be really strict with myself. And this is what I'm working on, this being strict with myself. I don't just want to settle for someone just because they like me, and I also need to make sure I don't compromise myself and my values for other people, because that's where a lot of the issues I've had in the past have stemmed from, and I've been doing a hell of a lot of work with my therapist about this, and it's really, really helping me. So, Susan, my therapist, she's lovely, wonderful. She got me to make this big list of all my core values and my core needs in a relationship, and also things like preferences for a relationship as well. So there are things that I will not compromise on, and there are things that I will. And there are things that I have no preference on, like it could go anyway, whatever. So for example, I do not want children, and that means that under no circumstances would I ever date a man who has children or who wants children. That is a core value of mine, that is a need of mine, and that is something I stick to no matter what. That is something I will not be compromising on for anyone. On the other hand, I have a preference that I would like to date someone who works a creative, flexible job like me, so preferably not a 9 to 5, someone who has the same flexible work schedule that I do. It would just make things a lot easier. But it's not essential, it's just a preference. If I meet someone great who does have a 9 to 5 and we can figure it out, all good, that's great, I'll go for that too. So that is just a preference rather than a need. And then there are things that I have no preference for, like I don't give a damn what your hair color is or your height is, it's all good, you know, things like that. Having these like needs and preferences clearly defined for myself means that I can be a little more clear and figure out if I actually want to date someone or not. And while that does mean that in general I get less dates because I keep turning dates down or breaking things off with people more often, it also means that I'm getting hurt a lot less because I'm not letting myself develop feelings for people who ultimately it's not going to work out with because we have differing core values. And I've had some people get angry at this for knowing my core values and sticking with them. Like just the other week, I was chatting with this man and he had a great looking profile and he seemed really, really like nice. He was good looking. We had a lot of the same interests. And then in the middle of conversation, he dropped that he had 2 kids. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, sorry, but that's a massive deal breaker for me. I don't want to meet up with you anymore. I mean, I tried to say it more politely. I tried to say it more tactfully, but you know, ultimately I was just like, no, thank you. And so I was like, yeah, sorry, not interested. Hope you find the right person. And he got so mad at me. So angry, like whole barrage of angry messages to the point where I had to report him to Hinge because I was like, this isn't okay. And at first he was like, no, give me a chance. You're dating me, not my kids, blah, blah, blah. And then he just got angrier and angrier. And ultimately it kind of like accumulated with him saying, well, I don't want to date someone who doesn't like kids anyway. And I was like, good, that's what I've been saying to you. You shouldn't want to date me because I don't want kids. I don't want to date you because you have kids. Like, I'm saying we're not good for each other. Like, we have contrasting core values, and he was just really angry about that. It was very, very odd. And eventually he told me that, you know, I'd be alone forever and I'd never find anyone perfect, and that I should like stop being so picky or something. So, you know, safe to say I dodged a bullet there. This, like I say, this happens a lot. Because what these men don't understand is that I'm not looking for some arbitrary ideal of perfect. I'm just looking for someone who is right for me. And I would rather stay happy alone than settle for the wrong person. And honestly, I don't think anyone deserves to be settled for either. And they should be completely wanted, and they deserve to be someone's first choice. And so this is my advice to all of you. Don't set yourself a timer and feel like you have to find someone before that runs out, because that timer is arbitrary. Give yourself a checklist and make sure you're finding someone who checks all the boxes you need them to. Find the right person instead. And this checklist is going to be very different for everyone. I have my own values and needs on there, which I won't share with you all because, you know, it's incredibly personal. But for you, it could be absolutely anything. It could be simple things like you want someone honest, or it could be more specific, like they need to be polyamorous like you, or they need to be asexual like you. It could be something about what kind of family you want in the future. Or it could be something about how you want to live your life and spend your free time. It could be that you'd prefer them to look a certain way or have certain characteristics or whatever. But it doesn't matter. You don't need to explain this checklist to anyone else, but you do need to know it for yourself. What might be a deal breaker for me is something you might not have a preference on. What might be a preference for you might not bother me at all, you know? So I won't tell you my list because it's not important to this conversation, but what I will say is that I think if you're looking to date someone and you're struggling a bit and you're worried you're being too picky, make one of these lists for yourself and figure that stuff out, because it's about making sure, like I keep saying, you end up with someone whose core values align with yours, and you're not just settling because you feel you have to, or because, well, they're there, I might as well. That said, don't necessarily just have like one type and stick to it. Feel free to push yourself and meet people and meet new kinds of people that you maybe wouldn't normally date, and you might surprise yourself. It can be fun. So there you go, that's my advice. Stop worrying about age, stop worrying about time, stop worrying about compatibility. That's my advice for today. Thank you for watching, thank you for letting me ramble. If you have any other ideas, any different advice that you would give to these people, if you think I'm wrong, please tell me why. If you think I'm right, please tell me why. And anywhere in between, please tell me why. But for now, I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to be making a couple more of these kind of dating advice videos if you want to see them. Also, if you have any specific questions yourself that you'd like me to cover in videos, please again, leave a comment and let me know, and I will try and cover as many as I can in future videos. But yeah, for now, thank you for watching. I appreciate you a lot, and I'll see you again really, really soon.